Minnesota charitable resolution thing. Yeah, aren't you glad we did that? Do I get a standing ovation for?
What is it?
You aren't excited about the Minnesota charitable registration renewal? It's big stuff. I mean, it took all about 15 seconds, but let me just tell you some of the things that took place. Obviously, I should tell you too that I talked to Pete this afternoon, and as we were on the phone for probably about maybe 15 minutes or so, and we were just kind of telling what all took place over the board meeting and some of those things. And he said, Randy, he said, that's all good news. He said, but I just want you to say one thing. He said, just tell the staff that we love them a lot. Didn't mention the board, so I don't know what. But I at least want the staff to know that he loves you a lot, and so it just kind of filled them in. This was probably, I would say, some of the things that took place here really were pretty unprecedented. We haven't had this much probably activity in a board meeting in years. And so there was a lot of things that happened. The first thing that I probably should tell you as I go down my list here is, first of all, just to say that Katie and Eric were up for their first 5-year appointment. So you know how we do it here at Missionary Tech Team, we like to ease into things, so they did their 2, then a 5, and then another 5. Well, we had that conversation with them, and we kind of had to beg them to stay, and but anyway, the board approved their second 5-year, or their first 5-year appointment, so that's big stuff, actually. We actually have somebody that joined us, and they actually joined us, and they want to stay. That's good news. Haven't scared them off yet. The next thing is I hope you've gotten to find Calvin and Sandra. I found out it's Sandra and not Sandra. I was corrected already on that. But they have applied to join our missionary staff. And the board approved that. And so they are now with Missionary Tech Team. They'll kind of begin that process of raising support and joining us. But I want to make sure you welcome Calvin and Sandra. Calvin's going to be helping us out with vehicle leasing, overseeing that. Probably doing some local representation as far as churches and some of those local mission agencies, and then also probably helping with some member care things. Calvin and I have talked, and he's actually got some terrific ideas. So that's exciting to get. I mean, you think about those of us who've been in the office for a year, every other Friday, going around praying for empty chairs, to actually have somebody fill one of those empty chairs is pretty exciting. And so that's kind of fun to have them. We also then, Justin and Lee, we don't necessarily need to introduce Justin, but he's kind of a retread, like Eric and I guess. We're retreads. But they actually applied for associate staff. And so the board actually appointed them to an associate staff position. So for us to be able to fill, in a sense, 2 chairs and fill one with Eric again, it's just kind of a neat place to be when you think about how God continues to provide. And again, even though Kristen's here, we talk about why is that? And I've said to her, I said, we're going to give God the credit that we keep praying every other Friday. And she says, that's fine. But you think about all of the pieces of the puzzle we put together with the marketing plan and the new website and some of those things, and to see all of those things, pieces kind of come together, is really pretty exciting when you think about how God's moving in that direction. And so all of those things become very positive. When it comes to some of the board things that happened this year, we took in Dan Cunningham was up for reappointment, as was Pete. And so both of those guys have been reappointed to the trustee board for another 3-year term. And then we actually added Mark Hendrickson is now a trustee, and he was appointed to a 3-year term as well. And then Don Iverson was put to the trustee board as well. We only did him 1 year because he's from Michigan. No, not really. if knowing he's from Michigan, we should have done like 15-year appointments, you know, but basically we just did it for 1 year just to try to help balance out our brackets. So if you look at our board structure, we have different brackets, and so we're trying to keep those, kind of those classes together. The officers for this year is gonna be Roger Kiefer is now gonna serve as our chairman. Kirk is staying as our vice chair. We finally have given Dan relief, and so he is the secretary, and Kevin Bright is the treasurer. He'll be passing the plate in a little while, starting his duties. The other thing that happened this year is we actually appointed Ken Chin and Glenn Harris to our emeritus board. To me, this has been this was probably the most significant event that happened from the standpoint of when Pete and I joined the board in 1999. For the first time now, it's an entirely new board. It's taken 21 years. And so what's interesting to think about that, I said to Pete this afternoon, I said, so you realize that you and I joined the board in '99, and now everybody, not that these guys are done, but as far as a trustee, that entire board's flipped. That's interesting to me. To give you an idea what that was like, in '99, went back to look, and in '99, the chair was Glenn Harris. Vice chair was Bob Schill. John Mays, secretary treasurer. Doc Bauman was a trustee and moved to the honorary trustee.